Hello, my name's Stuart and this is Scotland FX. Thanks very much for joining me on today's video. First off, small channel looking to grow, so thank you very much for all your support. I'm now at 111 subscribers now. That's obviously not much at all in the grand scale of things, but you know who you are and your support is appreciated. Hopefully you'll like the content I'm going to provide for you today. Now if you do me a solid, like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you could subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, click that bell notification icon. It will keep you up to date as and when I release more content and more videos. So today's video is an update on my FTMO challenge, the current progress, my strategy I'm using, which I detailed in depth in the last video. I've made a few small tweaks and changes to it, which I think were necessary. Which is why I'm letting you guys know, in case you were following along and looking at my strategy. You may have tweaked it and got yourself to a good working strategy anyway. However, in saying that, I've made a few little changes to the indicators to really simplify my entry decision making. I found sometimes I had too many indicators and was getting analysis paralysis, which you've heard of, which is one indicator says buy, the other one says not yet, the other one says oh maybe not, maybe even a sell, and then if you get that confusion, you're not sure where to go, and you're really needing like 6 or 7 or 8 indicators to all correlate in the same way exactly at the same time. If one of them's out, it basically will prevent you from doing it and causes confusion. So what I've done is I've simplified down my indicators and my strategy overall, and as a result I'm getting a better result. So for those that don't know, I did do an FTMO challenge which I did not pass. However, I technically did not fail it. I didn't do anything to get blown out. I actually finished in profit, albeit just a little bit, and that was enough for me to get from FTMO a second challenge completely free. So I'm in that now. And I had a couple of wee winners, a couple of wee losers. Started tweaking about and playing with my strategy because I just felt something wasn't quite right. And in fairness, I took a couple of experimental trades when mucking about with my indicators, and that caused a little bit of a loss. I was actually 4% down on my FTMO challenge. Now, however, in saying that, as of yesterday, I really got things the way, tweaked in and dialed in the way I wanted, and I've actually taken 4 trades basically from last night. So technically it was today, because it was last night, like 12 o'clock at night after midnight. So technically today I've taken 4 trades. They've all been winners. Now in saying that, although all my trading typically is on a 1 to 2 RR, so 1 to 2 risk reward. The ones I took last night, because I went to bed and wasn't able to manage them, they were very small risk. I was only risking 0.25%. Because I wasn't able to observe it and see how it was going and trail my stop if I wanted to do that, for example, which is one of my exit strategies. I have 2 exit strategies: either your trailing stop gets hit, or your take profit gets hit. That's it. Your stop loss gets hit, your take profit gets hit. If it's moving fast, I just let it hit my take profit. If it's kind of just slowly ebbing in the right direction, this strategy allows you to trail the stop, and you've got a clear and concise place to trail your stop every time. Every 5 minutes you can move your stop to a new location to reduce your risk as the trade goes on, of course if you're there to manage it. If you're not there to manage, you simply set up a 1 to 2 risk reward, and away you go. Now because it was doing that, and I wanted to see this new tweak to my strategy and my indicators play out, I had a very, very low risk, only 0.25%. I was in 3 trades. So the way I looked at it, I'm in 3 trades. So technically I'm risking 0.75% over the 3 different trades at a 1 to 2. So if they win and play out and each one of them hits take profit at 1 to 2 RR, eventually the combination of the 3 trades would leave me 1.5% up, and that's exactly what happened. So the strategy worked. I could have, obviously it would have been fantastic if I'd been risking 1%. I'd now be on each trade, it could have been down 3%, but they all won 1 to 2. I could have been up 6% on those 3 trades at the moment. Instead of being just over 1% down on FTMO, I could actually be 5% up. So in hindsight, you go, well, I wish I had, risked more, but I just felt I'd rather err on the side of caution. I risked less just to see the strategy play out, just to see my new settings play out, and have a bit of comfort and peace of mind that I really have a lot of belief behind my own trading strategy. Saw it play out, went in today, a little bit larger position earlier today. It was a 1 to 2 risk to reward setup again, and I didn't trail the stop. I just let it play out 1 to 2. I was risking 0.5%. It did hit its take profit, so I made 1%. So the result is the last 4 trades from sort of midnight last night to the point I'm recording this video, I'm up, or I gained 2.5%. So you know, I was 4% down. I'm now just a little over 1% down, like I think it's actually about 1.25% down or something. So much better. So I'm feeling more confident. I'll maybe take a couple more 0.5% trades, just again to check out and just if there's any more refinement or tweaking to be done. Though I'm generally happy, 99% happy with the strategy now, you know, once I get my FTMO back into the correct side, or at least back to break even, it's a 50k trial account, so I can get back to, you know, 50k balance, because it's in a little bit less than that at the moment, only just a little bit, like 49,200 or 49,300 or something, so like 1.5% or 1.25%, something like that, under. So if we get back to break even, I'll start risking 1% again per trade. So maybe, you know, if my next trade plays out and I risk 0.5% and gain another 1%, I'll basically break even on that and be happier to start risking slightly more, though I'm not going to go mental, because I really want to pass this and do this sensibly. I mean, I've still got something like 15 days on my FTMO period before it expires. I've got plenty of time. I don't need to rush this. I don't need to go in too hard. I take my time, keep watching the strategy, keep seeing it working, refine it as I need to, and hopefully keep growing my account until I pass the FTMO challenge. So with that being said, hopefully that all sounds good. So again, if it does, I'm about to cover up the 4 trades I just did. I'm going to show you the amendment to the strategy, the amendment to the indicators, the settings, and I'll show you the 4 trades I've took since midnight last night, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if all that does sound good, as I said, small channel looking to grow, and your support is very, very much appreciated. I am honest. I'm not. You know, when I make losses, I show you the losses. When I make wins, I make the wins. If there's something in my strategy I don't like, I will change it, and I'll tell you what I changed and why, whether you agree with it or not. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. It really is for education, my education as much as your education, and you know, take it or leave it. You know, you trade at your own risk. So with that being said, I'll cover the 4 trades I did, the changes to the strategy and indicators. Now, if that sounds good, I said, if you really could help me out and help the YouTube algo find me, give it a thumbs up. That'll help other people find the video, and subscribe to the channel, and that will keep you up to date with content like this. So with that being said, let's have a look at the charts then. In fact, before I do that, again, I'll try and make this video, my videos have been very long recently. I'll try and make this one a lot quicker. I'm trying to keep this really under 15 minutes, so people can watch it quickly and not be, you know, stuck in front of the computer for hours watching one video. So yeah, so very, very quickly, let's have a quick look at what I do. So first, my account metrics. So you can see these are the 4 trades that I took since midnight last night, if you can see that. So these were only 0.25% risk. So these 3 here were only 0.25% risk, because I was going to bed, couldn't monitor, couldn't trail my stop loss, and I really wanted to, you know, wake up this morning and see that the strategy had worked with very little risk. You know, if they had all gone against me, I'd only been down 0.75%. As it was, because they were all 1 to 2 and they all won, I was actually up 1.5%, which was great. So there was a $104 win, $210 win, $221 win. So they were the 4 that happened during the night while I was sleeping, which was quite nice. And then I saw a setup again today based on my current strategy and indicators. I took that was 0.5% risk on a 1 to 2 RR, and as you can see, it took profit, and I made $521.42. So to be honest, that's a little bit more than 2R, because my account was sitting at sort of whatever it was, 48,000. I think it was 48,700. So obviously 1% would be, you know, roughly 487. So you can see I'm a bit over that. So I was risking 0.5%. I really made about 1.1, I think 1.2%, something like that, which gave me which was yeah, the 521. So actually it was like 1 to 2.1 or 1 to 2.2 are our risk to reward. So yeah, so the last 4 trades have all worked out using my new strategy and the new settings in my indicators. I've simplified the indicators, took a couple away, replaced it with one which did the same job. So really, rather than having 2 indicators doing one job, if I can have one doing one job, much better. Less confusion then in case 2 of the indicators are not correlating with each other. So let's have a look at that then. I'll do this very quickly. One way, I will quickly run through the settings on the indicators, tell you what they are and what the settings are, and then quickly run through the strategy again, just in case you didn't see my last video. So first off, we have a rune indicator. Now all these indicators you don't have to download. They're all on TradingView. If you're using TradingView, I don't know about MetaTrader whether you can get them and put them on MetaTrader. I look at TradingView for my setups, and then obviously I trade on MetaTrader just by just click away you go. But my analysis, my technical analysis, my TA is done on TradingView. These indicators, you can just literally click the indicators icon, type in what you want, and these indicators come up. You don't have to go and download them from a website or anything. So Arun setting is, and again I'll explain what they are later once I talk about the strategy. I'll just go over the settings now for speed. So Arun is set at a length of 21. Your MBI is set, now it defaults to 16. I have changed that to 8. And again we'll talk about, that's a monster breakout index is the name of the indicator. Okay, now on the chart itself, so that's all I've got underneath. My overlay indicators, I only have 2 moving averages. The thin green line here, that is your 21 period moving average. And your thick red line is your 50 period moving average. No offset, all just set to close, and indicator time frame just the same as the chart. Okay, so this would now work on any time frame rather than this. I was trading a 5-minute, but this would work on the 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, whatever you want. Okay, I only have one super trend in play, and the super trend I've set ATR periods 13, ATR multiplier is 3, and again, unlike before where I had it set on 1 hour, so my entry time frame was a 5-minute, and I was using the 1 hour super trend to give me direction. I'm not doing that anymore. I have got it set as same as chart. So it's ATR periods 13, ATR multipliers 3, same as chart. So it doesn't matter what chart I go to. If I switch to the 1 hour chart, for example, it's not as if a 1 hour chart and now that had a 1 hour time frame, but you'd have to change it to 4 hour to be a higher time frame to give you trend bias. That doesn't apply now. It's just the same as chart. So whatever you're using, it's not a problem. Okay, whatever time frame you're comfortable with, however many trade. If you want to just be setting up a trade once a day, maybe checking in once a day or at the end of an evening, you might want to trade the 1 hour, 4 hour charts. I'm trading the 5 minutes, so I have more trade opportunities. That's all. So that's it. So that's my indicator setup. So it's really simple as that. Super trend, as I said, is the ATR periods 13, ATR multiplier. So the ATR is your average true range, is a multiplier of 3, and the time frame is the same as the chart. I have 2 EMAs, the 21 and the 50. My MBI or monster breakout index, I have changed the period of that from 16 to 8. My Arun, I think it defaults at 14, and I've put that up to 21. So I'm using the Arun for the overall trend bias. I'm using the MBI index for momentum and change of trend direction. I'm using the EMAs to show me the long-term trend direction, and then my super trend, again, it gives me my trend bias, and that's all it is. My entry, however, is based on the MBI. So let's talk about the strategy quickly then, so you can see it now. Let's just double check, see what we're looking at here. We're looking at USD CAD. Let me just pull up my MetaTrader so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. So USD CAD, yeah, this was one I took last night. Now it says the time is 04:53, but there's a 2 hour offset. So I actually got into the trade something like, let's have a look. What is that showing you? Showing you 3, so it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, because there's a 2 hour offset from the TradingView time to server time, if you like, which is different for the FTMO server. So this was the trade. So my entry requirements. First thing, I'm looking at the EMAs. I want looking for a long position. I want obviously the 21 to be above the 50. That's common sense. For a short position, I'd want the 21 to be below the 50. That's it, easy ozy. Super trend I want to confirm. So if I'm in an uptrend, you see, for example, even though I'm maybe here, you've technically got the cross just before the super trend goes green. You've technically got the cross here of the EMAs. But you see the super trend was still red, so you're not going to enter on that. On the close of this candle, we then jumped, the super trend jumped to a buy, so that was fine. So I had the three correlations there. We had the 21 above the 50, and my super trend was green for buy, again showing the continuation of the uptrend, typically after a pullback. So that was that. We had the at this point, if I actually just put that on, which candle would it be in? The close of this candle, so enter in here. So at this point here, this you could have entered here. I was a bit late to the party, if I'm being honest. So the close of that candle, you could have entered. So you could have entered in here. And you see, when I actually got in a little bit later, what is that looking like, 45 minutes later or something, I got in. I was quite happy to get in because I wasn't too far from the original entry signal, and I had a second entry signal on the MBI. So let's have a look at this then. Again, you're going to have to, I've done a lot of back testing this now, so I've got a little bit of intuition on when it's safe and not to enter. So although I'm trying to keep away from intuition and gut feeling, I don't want to just go on trading alone and nothing else. But everything was okay. So we had the 21 above the 50, we had the green super trend, the MBI was green. Obviously you wait for the Arun, the red, the green to cross above the red. So technically I would have been happy, not quite on that candle yet. I would have been the close of this candle. This was your buy on the super trend, so the close of that candle. So you could have gotten, actually you would have gotten there, would have gotten quite a bit lower, and perhaps had still 1 to 2, but would have hit it just a little bit sooner. I got in a little bit later, but I was happy to get in when I did. If you have a look, you know, we still clearly had more separation. I like to see a lot of separation between the EMAs. You know, after the cross, they're still very close together. They could cross back. The further separation, the stronger the trend. So the 21 was really separating from the 50. We still had the super trend was green on the ATR period 3, that was strong. Our MBI was green, and the Arun was still, you see, we're definitely on an uptrend here. So what had happened is I had basically waited for this entry signal here for this candle to close. So this candle closed, I got in, and you see the trade went really quite quick. We're only talking about an hour and 45 minutes, and I hit a 1 to, it was actually 1 to 8.3 risk to reward. I think that was just when I originally entered, you know, forgetting the commissions and such like that. Well, actually, you know, when I painted this on, I'd set a 1 to 2, but when I actually got into the trade, obviously you got the spread and the commission. So, you know, I was trying to enter a little, I thought I was entering a little bit lower, turned out entering a little bit higher. On checking my exit price after the spread and after commission, it was actually, rather than 1.2, it was 1.83. I'm still really happy with that. So that was that trade. Let's have a look at the next one, which was GBUSD. There's the trade there. So again, this was, I was quite happy with this trade. To be honest, I perhaps should have, again, just a bit late to the party. I would have loved to got in up here, of course. You know, everything was, 21 was below the 50, the red was trending down on the super trend. You just had a pullback, which is what this green is, it's a pullback. And then after the close of the first red candle, so here, you could have got in on this, and that would have again given you a 1 to 2 really fast, no problem at all. Everything's suggesting the downtrend is going to continue. I was just late to the party. By the time we got into this, we were over here. Now what actually happened is we actually had a red candle paint, and by the time I actually went onto my MetaTrader, did everything and looked back and actually entered the trade and looked back, the red candle hadn't closed. So I was a little bit early, to be honest. The candle hadn't closed, so the yeah, the candle hadn't closed, but the red indicator here in the MBI had disappeared because it painted then disappeared. We had a small pullback, which wasn't a big problem. I was really happy the trend was going to continue down. Again, using a little bit more intuition here. This was, I set this straight at 1-to-1 because it didn't feel as strong a trend to me looking at my strength meter, which I'll cover again quickly in a second. The other part of my trading strategy is looking at the strength meter before I decide which pairs I want to look at. The last one was OddCAD. Was that OddCAD or was that the one I took today? No, that was the one I took today. The last one was OddUSD. There we go. So this was the textbook entry. When I came on, obviously I would have loved to go in on this candle at the close of this candle after it painted the first red. So I would have gotten here. So you can see I literally was only half a pip or 1 pip off the ideal entry anyway. So everything was good. The 21 was below the 50. The super trend, the 3-period ATR super trend multiplier was coming down. Our rune was red across well back. So I mean, if you'd gotten over here somewhere, you could have easily made a 1-to-3, 1-to-4 on this trade. So I was quite happy with that. The MBI went red, as you see, so we're well into the red. Arun was red, then the EMAs were trending down, super trend was coming down. I entered here, as you see, literally no drawdown. I think at one point I was 1 pip into drawdown, and it just tanked in the direction that I wanted it to go over again that next 1 hour and 55 minutes. And again, it was set up as a 1-to-2, but when I actually looked at the price I got out, then taking into account your spread and your commission, it turned out to be 1.82 instead of so it was 1 to 1.82 rather than 1-to-2 risk to reward, so almost 1-to-2, but minus your commission and your spread, which I need to start factoring in. It was actually 1 to 1.82. Absolutely happy with that. So again, if I risked 1%, I would have made 1.8% on that. So I would have been really happy. As you can see here, I could easily have got, you know, if I'd been monitoring this, 1 to 2.18%, so that would have been fine. But I was quite happy when I woke up this morning, you know, to see that. Fantastic. Saw that. Fantastic. And where are we? No, not that one. USD CAD. Where are we? And saw that. Absolutely fantastic. So I was really happy that my strategy was strong. It suggested to me that I was in a trend. The trend was going to continue. I was simply looking for the pullback and then for it to continue in my current direction, and correlating was simply that Arun was suggesting that the trend was going the way it was going. So those are the trades that happened overnight. The trade I took this morning was this one here. Again, just absolutely fantastic. I was really happy with this. So we were in a downtrend with our rune. We had just had a pullback on the MBI, so you can see, although this is another reason I was quite happy to enter when I did. The pullback, as you can see, was literally nothing. There was actually more of a pullback here. This was more of a pullback. The price came back a bit. Almost stopped me out, to be honest, but this is why I set my stop loss where I do. It typically works well. But this pullback was almost non-existent. You see here, the price was still technically trending down, although it was calling it a pullback. So very weak pullback. So, and it went back to red in the continuation. Arun was still red. My 21 and 50 were well separated. 21 below the 50. My 3-time multiplier ATR super trend was still red and trending down. I felt really comfortable to enter the trade there. Enter the trade here, and as you can see, this was exactly a 1-to-2. I did actually factor in my on this one. Didn't do it during the night. I was too tired, to be honest. I should have done it better. Part of the reason you shouldn't trade tired, I guess. But I factored in my commission and the spread to make sure that the target I sent was a proper 1-to-2. And this closed out and made me 2R, and that's 0.5% risk, so 1% profit in 2 hours and 30 minutes today. So fantastic little trade, really lovely little trade, and worked really well. So entry then. Let's talk about my entry and my trade setup and my trade exit. So entry, as you can see, we've talked about for a short position, 21 below the 50. You don't have to. The price does not have to be below the EMAs. They can be above them and coming back down as long as your super trend is still red. if it's gone above the, if this is broken above the super trend, you then get a green super trend paint, and so you'd have to wait for it to go back to red if you thought the downtrend was continuing. So, but we're quite happy with this. So we had the 21 was below the 50, the super trend was red and trending down, which is on a downtrend. We'd had a pullback over here, as I said, which was weak. We're back into trending down. The rune was still red, although I was a little bit concerned because it was quite low. I like to see it a lot higher, but red was still above green, so I was happy when I looked at this. Again, I would have maybe got in, if I had been watching this trade, I might have actually got in about here. Again, I was just sort of 15-20 minutes late to the party by the time I got back to the computer. Price really hadn't moved that much. I would have entered on the close of that candle, so I would have entered here, and as you can see, literally, you know, from here where I would have entered to here was literally 2 pips. So not even that, 1.8 pips. Yeah, say 2 pips. So I was only 2 pips on the, and to be honest, it was 2 pips to the upside, which is better. You're getting a cheaper price. Oh no, it was 2 pips lower. So yeah, but it was only 2 pips out, so I was happy to enter. Everything suggested again this downtrend was going to continue, and then what did it do? It worried me a little bit. It ran pretty much sideways. It ran sideways to about here, so for about 2 hours and 50 minutes it ran sideways. However, everything was still good. Your 21 was below the 50, our super trend was still red. Our rune, although it had a small pullback here, had gone back to red. And you know, once we're in a trade, we're not worried about this MBI. This is not to exit a trade. This is just to get into the trade. Exiting the trade will be your trailing stop, or your take profit being hit, or your stop loss being hit, whether you want to just set up hard 1 to 2 and walk away, or trail your stop. So let's talk about the stops then. So my stop loss, I always set 2 pips above the super trend line. Okay, so whatever your super trend is, you're 2 pips above that, and you see that works really well. That gave me not much, to be honest. If it gone up another pip or two, I would have been stopped out of this, but it didn't. It has proved you could, if you want to be safe, set 3 or 4 pips above the super trend, but of course that means your lot sizing is going to be smaller. But this has been working for me. What can you do then if you don't want to set a hard take profit? You can trail the stop. So let me just draw a little. I'll draw a little line here. So let's just say this red line here represents our stop loss. So obviously our stop loss would have been here. Okay, and you wouldn't have changed it at all. The super trend was running straight across, so all the way along you would not have altered your stop loss at all. When the super trend starts to drop, you can keep moving your stop loss. Now this will repaint every 5 minutes because it's the same as chart, so it will repaint every 5 minutes. So 5 minutes later my stop loss would have been here. 5 minutes after that it would have been here. We're following down this super trend, so 5 minutes after that you're 2 pips above that, so you would have been here. As you see, keeping 2 pips above the whole time, above the super trend, we wouldn't have been stopped out. So again, then it would have ran sideways, and again just keeping constantly two pips above. So you know, oh actually that's close. That's close. You might have got stopped out there, if I'm being honest with you. Let me just double check that. You might have got stopped out on that one. 3.5 pips, so you may have got stopped out. So maybe if you keep 4 or 5 pips above and trail it. But for the sake of argument, let's say this hadn't quite gone as high as it did, and typically it doesn't. It very rarely, like this, it very rarely actually comes up and breaks the super trend line on a strong trend. From my experience, on this occasion, as obviously a typical bad example, it would have actually stopped you out. But let's assume that hadn't spiked up like that. You would just simply have kept following, keeping a couple of pips or 2 pips or 3, 4, 5 pips, whatever you're comfortable with, above that super trend. So right now, just say we're keeping 4 pips, so we wouldn't have got stopped out because we've been up here. 4 pips above the super trend all the way down, moving your stop loss every 5 minutes. Here you would have ran sideways for a bit, then you could have dropped it a little bit more, ran sideways for a bit, dropped it a bit more, it would have been running sideways for a bit. So right now, this would be your stop loss if you hadn't set a hard 1 to 2. So right now, we would have secured in 5.14%, and the price would currently be 7.8% up. So if I hadn't set a hard take profit, I did, because I set this trade up and then left the house. My wife and I went out for a little drive and something to eat. So I just set a hard 1 to 2, because I find typically the take profit does hit before you get a reversal. But if I had been home and managed this and been able to just trail my stop 3 or 4 pips above the super trend right now, this trade would still be active. I'd be, what's that, 7.6, yeah, 7.6% up, and my stop loss would be set at 5.18%, so securing 5%. So rather than setting a hard take profit, I could have just trailed it above. Obviously, at some point this will come up, spike you out, or they'll have a trend reversal, super trend will go green, and it'll hit your stop loss. So if you can manage it, I find a 1 to 2. My trading strategy is, if I can't manage it, I set up my trade on a 1 to 2 and walk away. If I can manage it, I trail the stop above the super trend, again a few pips above. Again, it depends how the price is moving. If it looks really volatile, you could set, rather than 2 pips, which I typically do, you might do 3, 4 or even 5 pips above and trail it. And if you had done that, you see right now you would have secured in 5% profit and been over 7% up as the price currently stands. Now that would be a fantastic trade and a great day. So that is the trading strategy. That's how it works. So my entry, I've talked about how you manage the trade, either a hard stop loss and a hard. You always put the stop loss into place regardless. It's just whether or not a MetaTrader you bother setting a take profit. If you can sit in front of the computer and manage this, then don't bother setting a, well, you certainly can if you want, but I don't bother setting a take profit. I simply trail the stop. It's a few pips above the super trend line and manage it down. If I'd done that, that trade wouldn't have been 2% up. I would have at least secured 5%. So even a half a percent risk, I'd be 2.5% up on my FTMO account. Right now, I'd be up over 3% on the FTMO with and would only risk 0.5% to gain 3%. So 1 to 6, 1 to 7 is more than achievable with this strategy. So that's it. That's the strategy. So again, I really do hope you have liked that. Make sure you're looking at the correct screen, or this has been a waste of time. Yes, you have been. Fantastic. So I hope you like it. That's the strategy. Previously, I had the RSI. With no upper and lower band, they're both set at 50 to show momentum. I had my stochastic RSI to show overbought and oversold, and to show how the trend was moving as well. I got rid of them and replaced them with this MBI, the Monster Breakout Index. It's actually version 2, which is a part is within the template. So you just come up to templates. Sorry, not templates. Indicators. Go in indicators, and if you just type in Monster. B for it's not finding it. Monster Breakout. Why is it not finding it? There we are. Monster Breakout Index version 2. So that was it there. Racer 8. I'm not sure what's the difference between 1 and 2. I just chose version 2 because it's the latest version. Version 1, I'm not sure what the differences are. So this is the one I'm using. That's replacing now the RSI and stochastic RSI indicators. So I've got rid of 2 indicators, replaced them with the 1. And I'm no longer using 2 super trends. I was using 1 for the chart, same price, same time frame as the chart, and using a 1 hour trade in the 5 minute. I've got rid of that now. It's just same as chart, and because I'm on a 5 minute chart, it's a 5 minute super trend with a 3-time multiplier on the ATR period set at 13, which means now if I jump to say the 15-minute chart, now the ATR is still 3 times multiplier, same as chart, so it's based on the 15-minute time frame. So again, having a look at this would be again fantastic trading opportunities here. Let's have a look. Wait for a pullback. So where could you go in? Have a look here. Here you had your pullback. So there's your pullback, which MBI is showing. First close of the first red candle. So here you could have got into the trade there, for example. We would of course be looking for a short. Why looking for a short? Because the 21 is below the 50, the super trend is red, and the Arun is red as well. You would set your stop loss a few pips above, so I basically typically go straight onto the level of the super trend. It says 15.8, so I'll be looking for at least 17.8, and there's your 2 pips. If you want to be safe, say you can set a 20 pip stop loss, so you're about 4.5 pips, 4.2 pips now above the super trend. Take profit you set at 1 to 2. if you are going to set up and walk away. And as you can see, absolutely, that would have literally had no drawdown at all. Gone literally here, tiny bit of drawdown, 1 pip maybe drawdown, then straight to profit and hit the 1 to 2. If you've been trailing your stop, let me get rid of the trade I took. If you've been trailing the stop, so instead of setting a hard take profit, again, if you had just decided to trail the stop, so this red line will represent my stop loss. You see stop loss is here. As the super trend then drops, I can then drop my stop loss. So that, you know, 5 minutes later it would have been here. 5 minutes later, even if I'm keeping 4 pips above, 5 minutes later it would have been here. 5 minutes later would have been here. 5 minutes later here. Then we're running sideways for about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, and then trailing it down, trailing it down, trailing it down, trailing it down, keeping a few pips above the super trend all the way. Here we'd be running sideways. We'd be about here somewhere at the moment. So right now we would have locked in the 2% anyway, and our trade would currently be 4% up. If we're risking 1%, we'd be 4% up. I was risking 0.5%, so you'd be currently 2% up. But you're 4 are up on your trade entry. Just it works really well. I mean, I like it. I'm trading this now to complete FTMO, whether I win or fail. This is my strategy. No more tweaks. I lost about 4% tweaking and mucking about on the strategy I put on the last video. I think this is much better. I've got less indicators. There's less clutter. It's easier to get an easily correlated entry signal. To close, it's very simple. You either set a hard take profit. I typically set 1 to 2. Or if you don't bother setting the take profit, you just set your stop loss. You can trail the stop loss just above the super trend. As you see right now, if I had been doing that, I would have locked in that 2% anyway, and the trade would currently be 4% up. Lovely. That's it. That is it in a nutshell. That's how it works. So I hope you like this. Again, if you found worth from this, remember, I'm not a trading guru, I'm not an expert. This is my journey to try and become an FTMO funded trader. I think I've got a good strategy now. I'm going to follow it to conclusion, whether it works or not. I'm sticking to this like I'm glued to it. My problem is I've moved about too many times. I've allowed it to slip or bent the strategy a little bit, and I actually end up losing 4%. So now I'm gained back. I'm a little over 1% under only, so almost back to break even. Hopefully, my next trend may actually take my FTMO challenge account back to break even, and then I'll go back to risking 1% per trade. So if I had done that this morning, for example, entered this on the 15-minute, and so work on any time frame. Obviously, the higher the time frame, the less the choppiness. So you might want that. And plus, if you're just setting up and going, maybe the higher time frame is going to give you a higher quality signal to enter. So that would have been it. So that would have been, you know, that was 8:30 this morning. It's half an hour into the London session. You could have entered that. Right now, that trade would still be open, and you'd be, if you're risking 1%, you'd be over 4% up with 2% locked in on your trailing stop loss. So I'm going to follow this trading strategy now to the end, to the bitter end. Hopefully, it will allow me to pass the challenge, and if it doesn't, if it fails the challenge, then it fails the challenge. I'm no longer going to tweak, change, use my intuition. You know, I'm going to try and stick to this because, you know, I think the problem is human error. When I've had problems in the past, it's been my perception, or oh, it's almost there, I think I'll take it. No, I'm going to stick to this strategy, as I said, like I'm glued to it, and hopefully I feel it's a strong strategy and it's going to work. So if you like this strategy, use it. If you don't like it, throw it away. Leave me comments in the video description underneath the YouTube. I'll certainly answer your comments. If you can see any way I'm improving on this strategy, then let me know. I'm more than happy to have a look at it and back test it out. Again, use it at your own risk. As I have to say, YouTube demand it of us. I'm not a financial guru. You probably listen to nothing I'm saying to you. Take it as fun and education only. But if it does help you, then fantastic. I think it's going to help me. It's going to hopefully take me out of the equation, or my emotions out of the equation, and just trade the strategy. You know, trade. What does it say? Plan your trade and trade your plan. And that's what I'm going to do without hopefully any deviation until I pass the challenge. So again, if that sounds good, please implement it. I hope you've liked this video. If you have, please do me a solid, like the video. It helps the YouTube algorithm find me, and that means other people can find me. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll keep you up to date with my progress on FTMO, and obviously the trades. I'll try and do a daily update on the trades that I take, win or lose, and obviously if they're winners, why they won, hopefully because the strategy was good, or if they're losers, perhaps, you know, what made it lose, what caused this to lose. Now, just in saying that, just before I go, how do I pick the pairs that I'm going to look at? I look at the currency strength meter. It's on livecharts.co.uk/currency-strength.php. I'll put a link in the description below. So the first thing I do when I set up my computer, I pull up the FTMO economic calendar. I refresh it, make sure there's no restricted events or high level news events that could affect the pair I'm looking at. For example, there was a restricted news event which is now passed. That was for crude oil. If you were trading commodities or trading, you know, some other asset rather than just Forex, you see that's actually expired. They're now just low level USD news events that shouldn't really affect price greatly. So I'll look at that first to make sure I'm not going to trade around a restricted news event. If you're not with FTMO, FOREXFactory.com, use their calendar. That'll give you high level, medium level, low level news events as well for different assets. But I use FTMO just to check to see what's going on. Then have a look at the currency strength meter. I simply will sit down at this, and I'm looking for something that's high, like USD or odd here. It's really, really strong at the moment. They're really, really high. There's a lot of strength in these currencies, and I'm only looking to trade these against something ideally that's weak. So I'd love to see, you know, 6 bars against 1. 5 against 2, it should still be trending but not as hard. 6 against 1 should be a high trending. So USD JPY, USD strong JPY is weak, so we'd expect the USD JPY chart to be trending up. Same with the odd JPY, we'd expect it to be trending up. So just to quickly then see if that is true, this has just been refreshed up to date. So let's have a look at USD JPY. So right now if you sit down, there you are, look, it's trending up. It's as solid as that. Now if you had got in a little bit, this has probably been like this for, you know, the last sort of half hour. So if you could have got in about here, so we had the cross of the well, in fact it didn't even cross down, just crossed down. So the 21 has just crossed back up. The Arun's gone green. We've got MBI is green. We've got a buy on this on the super trend as well. So you probably wouldn't have, you would have got in at the top of this candle, had a small drawdown. The drawdown wouldn't have mattered though. Why? Because where would you have set? You would have got in here. Where would you have set your stop loss? Just below, a couple of pips below the super trend. So here, so that's where you would have set your stop loss, and right now you would be up 1% on that. So just using the strength meter that I showed you. What was the other one? It was odd JPY. Let's have a look at odd JPY. So here we are here. Odd is strong, JPY is weak according to this. Well, saying that doesn't look right, does it? Am I looking at the right pair? Odd, that to me would look, and I know this is saying buy, that's saying sell. That's confusing to me. I wouldn't enter that. You know, if I'm looking at this super trend, sorry, the strength meter, it says USD JPY should be trending up, odd JPY should be trending up, and then come obviously and just look at those charts immediately. So USD JPY, fantastic, clear trending up. Look for my entry. Odd JPY, that just it's not correlating with what the strength meter is telling me. Obviously, we did have some price movement, but it's come back. This just may be a retracement, and it's going to come back up. But what I typically do as well, I zoom right out and look at that. So it's clearly been trending down. So that's not making sense for the super trends. I wouldn't even look at that. So the only pair I'd be looking at the moment, based on the strength meter, I'd look at both of these. I'd look at USD JPY and odd JPY, and then come to the charts, look at them both. Odd JPY didn't like the look of. USD JPY loved the look of. So I'll be looking for. So for example, here, if I was to get in right now, what would I be looking for? Let me get right. So we didn't get in earlier. We're just arriving now. So what we were looking for, I'd be looking for a pullback towards the super trend. So I'll be looking for some pullback. This is when you see the MBI showing you red, and then I'll be looking for the first green, assuming that Arun is still green above red, and assuming my 21 still above the 50, and our super trend is still green. So if we had a small pullback here, like so. Small pullback to this sort of area here, and obviously we may have seen a few red bars on the MBI. Wait for the first green bar. As long as we get the first green bar, the rune's still green above red, 21 still above the 50, and the super trend still green, you could then enter at this point, looking for price to continue after the pullback to the super trend. Using the super trend as, or the 21 EMA, kind of as a dynamic support line, if you like, that moves along. So it's not hard, you know, vertical support line. It's a dynamic support line. And that's it. That's what I'd be looking for. So I'll be watching this maybe over the next 20 minutes, half an hour. Wait for the, you know, the pullback. Wait for the MBI to go green. Assume that still the Arun is still green above red. The 21 is still above the 50, and my super trend is still green. The first green bar of my MBI, on the close of that, if it closes green without repainting, I would then enter, and that's it. So that's it. That's how I use the strategy, guys. So this has run on a little bit. I was going to say it wasn't going to run on. It has run on 45 minutes. I just try and get everything in, so I'm not going to make like the 17 small videos because I forget something and then have to add another video, and then forget something, have to add another video. I've tried to make it as concise as possible but inclusive as possible so you understand what my trading strategy is. So I hope you've liked it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will get out of your way now, let you get on with your day. Thanks very much for joining me on this video. I hope you found worth from this video. You know, leave your comments, let me know what you think. All the links to the strength meter, economic calendar, even my position size calculator. I just use my FX book Forex calculator. It's very quick. You want to risk 0.5%. Your stop loss is at 9 pips. You put in your balance, calculate, and it tells you the number of lots you should be trading. So again, I'll put the link to that in the description below, just because it's really handy. I have them up, so I've got my economic calendar, strength meter, and then whatever pair I decide to trade. Oh, you can't even see it, I'm on the wrong screen. Yeah, so I've got my economic calendar, I've got my strength meter, and then, you know, after checking the charts, I decide which one I want to enter. I've got an idea already how big my stop loss is going to be, what my risk is going to be for that stop loss against your starting balance. Calculate, and it's going to give you a lot size. So it's just really quick. So I'll put all the links to anything that I think is useful. I'll put in the description at the bottom of this video. Also a link to my absolutely free Telegram. It's just a bunch of guys like me chatting and talking about our trades, and all try to learn from each other. So absolutely join it. I will never ever ask for money off you. I don't want your money. I'm not selling you any courses. I want to make my money long term in the future by being a successful prop trader. So and you know, this is my journey to that end. So please join me in these videos, join me on the Telegram, and hopefully we can all learn from each other and we can all succeed. So with that being said, thank you very much. I will catch you in the next video. Take care of yourselves, and success to you all. Thank you. Bye.